Rissman, are you, this way everybody can see. Thank you. You are known to many, and you're a family practitioner here in Ulster County for more than 30 years, as Elsa said, and saw the ways in which our healthcare system changed over that time. And please talk to us about how meeting the increasing demands of multi-payer private health insurance impacts doctors' ability to practice and provide comprehensive, necessary care to patients, and why you think a single-payer system is in the best interest of patients and providers.
I'm a little worse. Anybody know a good doctor here? So I can't even believe we're having this discussion. That 40 years ago, when I graduated medical school, I thought in my career this would change, because this was a problem then, and it's still a problem now, and we may be getting closer, but this fragmentation of our healthcare system and the fact that it's becoming more and more corporate, and if you're not frightened by CVS buying Aetna and United Healthcare buying almost every dialysis center in the United States, and if you're not scared about the fact that this is going to be like the car industry, and there'll just be a few medical entities in the country that will control everything, and this is a problem. And for me as a family doctor in a small town, and when we talk about finances of medicine, I'm way over here on the bell-shaped curve on the low end of what doctors do when you're in primary care, because when you're a small-town doctor, you just have to take care of everybody. Good insurance, bad insurance, you do the right thing. And there was a time where if they woke me up at 2:30 in the morning to go see somebody having a heart attack and they had Medicaid, to give you, I'm just giving you a view of how sick this financial system was. If you had a Medicaid at that time, I could go in, drive down to the hospital, spend hours there, come home, and get paid $11. And maybe if I was lucky, it might be $19, but it's less than the people cleaning the ICU. And at some point, Medicaid decided, well, let's sign you up with an insurance plan and pay the doctors something and pay. But the pride, the honor, the lack of anxiety when that same patient had a card to come into an office and be treated by any doctor in the community. Mm-hmm. The same person that couldn't get anybody to see them in the past, the weight off their shoulders, what this meant for their family, for them to be able to access health care. The same thing happened with the ACA, with the Affordable Care Act. It is exactly a misnomer to call it the Affordable Care Act, but we all have stories of people whose lives I wouldn't have been able to live. I wouldn't have been able to get care without this. And it's very powerful. And on just a day in the life of a family doctor is exactly the battle of doctor, why do you want that? Why do you need that MRI scan? You have to talk to somebody somewhere. You have to hire staff to fight the battle, to even get the test, to get the medicine, to make sure the patient gets the right care, to make sure the hospital doesn't dump them out of the hospital too soon. It's an ongoing battle every day. And I realized as we live in day-to-day chaos, those of us who watch the news every day can't keep up with the number of stories in one day, and the things that would be so important are number 6 on the list of things that happen today. This is what's happened to doctors. Because I actually believe that most of us who went to medical school started out thinking, I want to help people. I want to be a good guy. I don't think most people went to medical school to be jerks or to not care about people or not to just want to treat everybody. But the chaos of the system becomes the norm. It's just what you have to deal with every day. It's just your world, and you do the best to get through each day, it is like a MASH unit, incoming wounded, every day the incoming wounded. And doctors in this country have learned to just accept this as normal. This is our norm, and it's not okay. And to me, the essence of this really lies in what we heard earlier. This is a moral and ethical issue. It's an issue of who we are as people. It's who doesn't deserve better health? Who doesn't deserve care and respect and somebody to listen to them and what are we thinking that we can do this, or that you lose insurance or lose your house or can't afford care, or your family is burdened, and then there's the underinsurance for all the people that don't have insurance. How many people, and I ran a small business as a family doctor, the insurance companies decided, because nobody told them it was illegal, let's raise the co-payments, let's raise the deductibles to $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. All of a sudden, that's the same as not having health care, because most people don't have that money. Gee, I'm going to go in and check something out, I'll just stay at home, and they come in too late. And you ask, why? Why didn't you come in and see me? And you realize why. Because they're underinsured. And so the idea that we could have a system where everybody has access makes sense, and everybody would do well. I love the financial details of this. I think that's really important to see that it could work financially. I'm not naive enough to think that Aetna and Cigna and Anthem and Blue Cross Blue Shield are just going to, we're going to declare bankruptcy now and go away. This is, we may be a few votes short in the state Senate, but they're not going away easily. This is not a simple thing. But I think when you go out into the community and talk about this, it's better to talk about it. Let's agree on the goal. The goal is we need more care, and everybody needs to be covered, and this is our goal, and it's a moral and ethical imperative as human beings. Rational, reasonable people who've studied healthcare, the details of this, how it's actually going to be implemented and worked out, people can have very different opinions about how to implement this. So we shouldn't be held up on the very details of that. It's going to be complex. Let me reassure you that doctors are used to complexity. We know about complex systems. You know this. Things are incredibly complex, but it doesn't mean it's not solvable. And this really is a solvable problem. And you want to see people of faith say, we have to do this, it's a moral and ethical thing. Anybody from any humanist background should say the same thing. This is just something we have to define as, we have to do this, let's make this happen. And so anything we can do to do this, doctors, what do doctors think out there? Most doctors have actually come to the point where they realize they would be better off able to treat everybody the same. I think there is a point of frustration. If you could tell them a day in your life will be better, you will feel better about yourself and how you touch people's lives and how you treat people. If you have this system, it will be more relaxed. You don't need all that craziness and people questioning everything. You just want to practice medicine. I think doctors would accept this. And I think that's an important point of this. Yes, and yes, money should go to research. One of the big arguments against single-payer systems or Medicare for all is we're going to lose our research edge. But we can still invest in research. We still have universities and centers. We can do this. When you look at what the Canadians pay or the Brits pay for healthcare per capita versus in the U.S., for all the talk of, because there's all the rumors that maybe it's not that good in Canada and Britain. I disagree with that, but that argument comes up. You're going, they only spend half of what we spend. We spend twice what they spend, and we get less care for less people. And we just have to come to the point it's not acceptable. The thing we can do about healthcare right now, while we're waiting to do this, and it's a big issue, but we're close in New York. Why shouldn't New York set the tone for this? The thing we can do first is we can put the care back in healthcare. We can listen to patients.
Yep.
We can sit down and talk to them and say, Mrs. So-and-so, you can sit down at the bedside at the hospital. How often do you see the doctor sit down, touch the patient and say, how are you doing? I know this is hard for you. This must be great. Do you have any questions? Is there somebody I should talk to in the family about this? What's it going to be like for you at home? What's the meaning of this condition to your world? That takes 15 seconds to care for somebody, to show that they think you're the greatest doctor in the world if you just listen to them and let them know you matter. You're not just, oh, yeah, the lady with the broken kneecap at room 231. You know, this is a human being, and this has meaning. And the more we can do to actually talk to each other, have professionalism and compassion and listen, I think we're going to have a better healthcare system. Hopefully, this will be the beginning of that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.